hello, welcome to Tuesday. Trevor here from the Hobby Organist channel, and today I thought we'd do something with the organ sounds. I love playing the organ sounds. It's what I fell in love when I first started playing the organ, and Lowrey organs have always been organs. They've never shied away from having the name organ in their title, and so I think it's very important that we play and use the organ sound, because it's just such a lovely voice. And that sound I was using there was nothing special, nothing clever, no preset packs, no just for you packs, no anything loaded in the organ. We just turn the organ on and we add a little bit of sustain to the upper and lower keyboards, and you get this lovely dreamy lovely sound. So even without listening to any of this video, just turn the organ on and play with those organ sounds. It's lovely. But Lowrey organs have over the years become obviously more and more powerful, and the bit inside the organ, the circuit board that makes the organ sound, has been able to do more and more clever things for us. And so we've demonstrated before on the videos to the fact that we can use these tabs as tabs, or we can bring up drawbars on the screen and use them as drawbars. What we haven't spoken about though is this tab that we have along here called Flute type. Now we're sitting here at a fantastic grand marquee, very lucky to have it here, beautiful organ. And the Flute type is actually a tab that you have over here. If we're sitting at an A series instrument, so if we're sitting at a Prestige, a Symphony Plus, a Symphony Showcase, sorry, a Liberty, or Sterling Edition, we're going to find the buttons over here, and they work slightly differently. So what I will do at some point in this video is, or maybe at the end, we'll just nip over and find an A series so I can show you where to find the buttons on your organ. But in the meantime, mainly the concept and the operation and the effect is going to be the same. So what does the Flute type button do? Well, it actually changes the tone of these flute tabs. And that's quite an amazing thing to think of. You know, we're quite used to the organ sound is just the organ sound. But the organ sound itself can have different characteristics. If you're playing a lovely mellow Lowrey sound, you get that lovely warm sound. If you're playing a different manufacturer, say you're playing a hammered organ, then the hammered organ has a very different sound. It has a jazzy sound, it has a much brighter sound. If you're playing on a church organ or theatre organ, you have a more throaty, breathy kind of sound. So there are different styles of organ sound, and this Flute type tab gives you the ability to actually change the tone of the flutes to kind of match the sound that you're trying to achieve. So for example, let's hit that tab. I don't know if you can see on the screen, on the cameras, it now shows us on the screen there a choice of Lowrey, tibia, jazz, smooth, diapason and string. So these are 6 different organ type sounds. So they're not a preset, they're not a voice. These are changing the tone of these tabs. So whatever combination you choose on these tabs will change depending on the tone that you choose from that screen. So let's do the example. Let's go back to the Lowrey. So you press the Lowrey button, and that's the sound we've been playing with. Lovely warm Lowrey sound that we're all familiar with. But let's just turn the sustain off, and we'll come down and we'll choose the jazz option. And now what that will do is really lighten the flute tab, and it will make it sound a lot more percussive. What they've done there is put in a very fast attack, so the sound comes in like a bang. Hear that? Bang, bang, bang. If we play the Lowrey one, smooth, it comes in gradually, but with the jazz one it's bang, because that's what you want with jazz music. Jazz has got a bit more bite and attack to it. So go from Lowrey, smooth to jazz. So we can add, say, a few of the harmonic drawbars. carried away, all kinds of stuff. Very jazzy, bright. Got a good old 16 and 1 with that. Very different sound to that Lowrey thing. See it? Very different kind of sound. A completely different tone. And to show us that we've got this different tone, I'm not sure if this comes out very well on the cameras, but you will notice it on your organs at home. The colour of the LEDs that illuminate when you've pressed the tab will change. So when we're playing on Lowrey, they're red. If we go to jazz, they go green. In fact, all of them go green, the lower manual and the pedals, all to match. So that explains a bit of a mystery. If you've ever wondered why these keep changing colour, it's probably because you're choosing a setup or a preset that is using that different colour for the organ sound. So literally the visual colour is changing, but also the tonal colour is changing at the same time. So for example, if I press we're on the basic 10 here, if I press the say number 1, which is the rich organ sound, you see they're red, they're using the Lowrey flute. If I go to number 9, which is the jazz setting, it's changed them green because it's changed the flute type to be jazz. Carried away on that again. If I choose a theatre setting, theatre organs, they actually go yellow because the flute type they've chosen this time is tibia. Because the tibia gives us a much more theatre organ type flute. First 3 types are very different kind of organ sounds. Let's go back to where we were. We have our Lowrey one, which is lovely, warm, mellow. The jazz one. And the tibia one. So the tibia one is a much more throaty. Now, interesting thing with these organ sounds is that it's a choice that the Lowrey engineers have made as to how to voice these. Which sounds like a funny thing to say, but we're very used on all these organs now for sounds to be hyper realistic, that they're all sampled, they're recorded from real instruments. So when you choose a piano, it's a real piano. When you choose a trumpet, it's a real trumpet. And yes, we have lots and lots of what they call sampled voices like that. And within the orchestral sections, there are sampled organ sounds from Hammonds, from church organs, from theatre organs. But these particular flute voices, the sounds that are produced on these tabs, are made in what we call real time. They are generated by a flute generator board inside the organ. So the sound is being creative. So there is a lot of choice for the engineers as to how they choose to voice them, how they make the Lowrey sound. What do you do to make it sound like a Lowrey? What do you do to make it sound like jazz? And so with the Lowrey sound, actually, they kind of had 2 variations, really. They had this one that we've ended up with that we call the Lowrey sound. But on this list of flute voices, we actually have another one called smooth. In here, that's a very different sound if we do that. That's very full, got a nice heavy tremolo on there. A smooth one. Tremolo is a different speed, a different depth, and the flutes are kind of almost lighter. And there's no measure of which one's right or which one's wrong or one's better than the other. They're different, which is why Lowrey included them both. You can play the Lowrey one. tibia diapason is a bit like that. You've got tibia diapason, which are very similar kind of sounds. But here the second one, the diapason one, is a brighter voicing. And of course you can practice using those without the tremolant on them, and they sound obviously much more churchy and classical. My favourite one, the one at the end, that I don't use very often, so it's a funny thing to call it my favourite, but the reason why it's my favourite is it reminds me of my very first organ. This one here is called string, which sounds a very peculiar thing to describe an organ sound as being string. But back when I learned to play in the 70s, well, the organ I had came from the 70s, it was an Italian instrument called a farfisa, and the thing was that the voicing in the Italian instruments at the time was very a reedy kind of sound. That's what they liked. So it wasn't this kind of hearty, warm, woody organ sound. It was a much more brighter, almost accordion-y type sound. And so this string setting for the tabs turns them into sounding much more like that. Literally, I mean that's what it sounded like when I was 9 years old, sitting playing my farfisa that cost £50 at the Classified, which was an awful lot of money back then. In fact, my mum and dad had to get a friend to move it because we didn't have a car. So, but that organ was my absolute pride and joy, and I used to play it for hours and hours every single day, and that's what it used to sound like. And so funny, I call it my favourite one because it reminds me of it, but I very rarely actually would ever use that sound because we've got such a phenomenal organ. It's obviously money to make it sound like an old organ from the 70s, but if you like that kind of vintage sound, and actually later on we're going to make some videos on some of the old organs because it's still fantastic reliving those voices and sounds. But it's fascinating that we actually have that kind of bygone era. And so you can still use the flute tabs to change it. So that's the first song I ever learned to play, was Merry Roll On. Follow very quickly with Largo. Anyway, going off on a tangent there. So, be very curious to know if anybody can find a setup or preset in the Lowrey that actually uses that string setting, because I can't think of one off the top of my head. So I will quite happily stand corrected if somebody can find a preset in the organ that actually uses the string setting for these tabs. So just to recap where we are. This is a feature that we find on the flagship Lowrey organs. So it's going to be on the Prestige, the Symphony Showcase, the Sterling Edition, Liberty, Imperial, and all those organs, and we're going to show you in a sec. You'll find it down over here. On the flagship of the A series, on the Marquis, the Grand Marquis, and the Aria, of course the Aria Pro, you'll find it as a tab over here. And when you hit that tab, it will give you a choice of 6 different colours, and that's probably a good way of expressing it, for these tabs. So it still means you use the tabs as usual. These aren't preset registrations, these are just changing the way that these sound, so you still use them as usual. And when you change the sound colour, as it were, the colour of the tabs changes at the same time. Now, even if you've never pressed that button and you've never used it yourself, as I said earlier, your setups have been using that all the time. The presets are changing the colour of these buttons quite happily while you're playing to use those different flute types that you have in there. If you have an SU series organ, so if you have a Sensation, Royale or Stardust, on the Sensation you only have, but you still have 2 choices. You can play the Lowrey sound, which is the default sound, as it were, the red colour, but you don't have a jazz button that you find over on the left hand side. And you can press that, and that will again change the colour of the tabs and change the colour of the sound, so you get more jazzy sound. If you're on a Royale, you have two buttons, one that says jazz and one that says tibia, so that you've got the tibia setting as well. What you haven't got is all 6 different options. That's when you come up to a prestige, and then your organs upwards from there. But it gives you these extra different colours, and to say it's one of those features that we probably never mention when we're demonstrating to people, but it's a really nice idea that you can get these different sounds out of the organ sound. In fact, when we launched the Prestige on the first video, if you go back onto the main Lowrey UK YouTube channel and watch the demonstration of the Prestige, because that was the first organ that had these 6 different types, we'd use the phrase that this was the most organ that Lowrey have ever made, because it had so many different organ sounds in it. So yeah, a great feature. And a feature that if you practice with those organ sounds, it's going to be very handy for Monday, because when we get to Monday, it's very exciting. We actually have here now the finished score for Even When, which is our most, over the past 15 years, our most requested piece of music ever from the Lowrey channel, the Even When melody. So we've finally got this written out, so for all our subscribers on Monday, we'll be emailing that out to you so you can print it out yourself, and then you can sit down, find a lovely organ sound. If you want to play with the organ sound, don't have to, you can play it with any voice you want, and you can have a lot of fun. And again, if you go back onto the main channel, you find the video where we first played this piece was on the sensation demonstration, so it'd be right down the list of videos. And when we recorded it then, we only played the main melody. We didn't actually record the middle 8, because it does have a middle 8. And then back to. So, but that's something for Monday. We're going to have a lot of fun playing with that and experimenting with it. And genuinely, that's a piece of music that I actually wrote for our wedding. So maybe I can dig out a bit of the footage of the wedding day and show you it being played. It's played by my wife's sister, who is a professional violinist. So it was a beautiful thing when she played it on the violin. Anyway, I hope that's been interesting to you and given you something else to think about with your Lowrey organ. That's the thing with all these videos, is we keep discovering more and more that there is to learn about them and all the different techniques and so forth. And that's what's great about continuing this channel going, that we can keep all these ideas and things and learn even more about these instruments. A lot of people have asked actually in future videos if we can cover stuff that's a bit more basic and a bit more operational, so we're going to do more of that, because there's no such thing as a stupid question on these organs. Me and Tom have been showing people organs for, well, me anyway, for 30 years. And so there's lots of things that sometimes we take for granted and we gloss over, because we don't realise actually that if you don't explain that particular thing, that it's not obvious. So if there's things that you haven't understood that we've spoken about, email in, write to us, especially now on the Patreon thing, because all messages come straight to us, and we can focus videos on doing particular areas and say not covering such big features, maybe just more things in detail that people feel that they need more help with. So thank you as well for watching, of course, and supporting the channel. We're got an amazing number of views, great number of subscribers here on the Hobby channel, and thank you for everybody who's watching on our main channel. In the next couple of days we will reach 6 million views on our main Lowrey UK channel, which is just astonishing. 6 million times that somebody has wanted to listen and enjoyed the sounds of these fantastic instruments, so that's really good news as well. And that's quite a milestone for us. We're very happy with that. So I'm going to go and find a series organ, and we'll just record a little bit on the end so I can show you what we're doing, how to find those buttons there with the flute types. In the meantime, have an experiment with that, and I will see you again tomorrow. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye. So here I am sitting at a gorgeous Lowrey Prestige, which was the the flagship A series organ when it first came out. That was a lead model on the A series, and I don't think we've actually recorded any videos on this organ yet. That's definitely something to cover for next week. Need to play some more music on the Prestige. But we were just talking about the flute type, so we find those buttons now down on this left hand side. So we've got your rail in the middle of the organ here. There they go. Don't go too fast, make you feel sick. But over on this side we have these two buttons. So if neither of them are pressed, we're on the basic Lowrey, well not basic, we're on the Lowrey sound. Now you can see now, if I'm holding the camera now, that these lights are all red. All the tab ones. Let's put a few more on so you can see them. There you go. And so if I press the jazz button, they go green. Ta-da! We get the jazz sound. If we press tibia button, ta-da! They go yellow, which probably won't come out on the camera very well because the way LEDs work. But if you try it on your own organ, they should come out yellow. And then to get the 6, we press the two buttons together. Oops, let's get that. Me pressing the two buttons together, and they both light up. And then on the screen we have the same screen that we just had on the marquee, if I can get the light shining in it, where we can choose Lowrey, tibia, jazz, smooth, diapason and string. Let me just get it, I don't know, there we go. So we can do exactly the same thing that we were just doing on the marquee, and this applies on all the A series. So have a try that with your organ, and again thanks for watching very much and supporting us, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye bye.